So you can sketch out your art if you like, sketch out some shells. I'm going to be doing a scallop, a mussel shell, a nautilus, some very basic shell styles and types, but I'm going to be freehanding them with my paintbrush. If you're uncomfortable with that, feel free to sketch it out. Just a general shell shapes. But if you're ready to get started, I'm ready too. I'll be using a larger brush today, like a 1/2 inch or 5/8 inch brush. I'll be using a medium-sized round brush and a slightly smaller brush. These are basic brushes, again, that you can find on Amazon, Michael's, Walmart. They're pretty much, I would call, over-the-counter, very versatile brushes. So I'm going to start with a round brush, medium round brush. And I'm starting with some paint on my palette, and I'm going to be using some hot pink to get started. The first shell that I'm going to be working on, magenta or hot pink. Of course, you feel free to use color schemes that you like. I'll walk you through some technique and some different placements of shells. The first one that I want to work on is going to be a scallop shell. It's going to be really simple. So what I'm going to do is paint about 5 lines coming out from the same center here, almost like a fan. And then on the bottom, I'm going to paint a nice straight line. And that's going to give us the basic shape of our scallop shell. Now it'll be up to us to just sort of round this guy out, fill it in a bit. And then you've got a basic shape. So this is what we're looking for. We want to make just a nice little fun abstract painting of shells today so that we can learn a few shell styles. All right, easy peasy. Next one. This shell painting is going to be a little bit complicated in terms of you're going to be dealing with a lot of different spots that have wet paint. So we're going to try to use our pinky to balance up our hand so that we're not just laying our hand in the wet paint. That's the hardest part about this piece. Now I'm going to make another scallop shell up here. I'm starting with this really nice and simple fan shape, and then a straight shape at the bottom, and then I'm going to start rounding those out again and connecting them. And I think this is a real simple way to show you a little scallop. Now you might want to play with size. Maybe you want to make this one way bigger, this one smaller, and we'll also play with direction a little bit. Let's have one just coming right off the canvas here, just for fun. And we'll go back later and detail these guys out and detail our canvas out. But if you want to wrap your paint around the canvas a little to give it that more finished edge look, go for it. All right. So this guy, I'm not showing the entire thing. I'm just going to show the top of it. And so this will be a fun little painting with different direction to it. All right, so 3 is probably good for now. I'm going to grab a different color. Let's go ahead and just rinse that brush out. And then I just have like a towel over here that I'm drying it off with. So I dry off my brush. I'm going to do a bit of a lighter magenta pink color. So I'm going to grab some white and then just mix off to the side here. And this time we're going to work on a cone shell. So we're going to very simply make, it's going to be kind of like an ice cream. So I'm going to make some little layers here. So this will be like our ice cream. So 3 little layers by just swishing my brush across. And then I'm going to come out for the cone part of it. Something like this. And again, these are going to look really, really basic right now. We're going to detail them out later. Okay, so something like that. And then the back side of the shell sort of wraps around, something like that. So this is kind of a wide cone shell. We'll make another one too. Same light pink. Let's make another big one over here, maybe a little bit more narrow. So 3 little ice cream shapes. And then a nice little cone shape coming down here. Make this guy big. Make him going off your canvas just a little bit. Again, the placement is going to be up to you. You want to have your cone shell somewhere else, that is totally fine. If you want a different color, absolutely. All right, so something like that. And then let's make another guy, maybe one more. Mixing up some more light pink here, light magenta color. And let's just do one guy over here. So 1, 2, 3. So it's like those soft serve ice creams that you get that are just really tall and like perfectly spiraled. Our art doesn't have to be perfect, but we're just going to do our best. Okay, so this cone is coming off here, and then we have the back that's going to wrap. As you notice, when you find these in nature, they're going to be all different shapes and sizes. No two will be exact. Okay, so that's looking good. Now I want to grab a different color. I'm going to work on a different type of shell here. This time, let's work on the whelk shell. Now this shell is similar. I'm going to grab some orange for fun. And the difference of this shell is it's a bit more pointed at the bottom. It's a little bit more harsh. So let's put one of these guys up here. So sort of has like a little cap instead of a rounded top. And then another little layer. This is the whelk here. I'm sure you've seen these. And then for the third layer, I'm going to just come all the way down into like a point. And then something like this. And then I'm going to grab a little more paint, and this guy also has a back. It also has this opening. Something like this. Now, when you rinse your brush out, the reason why I dab it off is because I don't want it to be too drippy. Okay. And then let's do another whelk somewhere else. Let's go in a slightly different direction. Maybe we'll put this guy, maybe I'll put him up here. So a little cap, pointed little cap here. One little layer with my brush, little brush stroke, and then nice point. So again, kind of like an ice cream cone, a more pointed ice cream cone here. Whereas this guy's a little bit more rounded. And then again, with the back layer, swooping down. Great. A little point. Okay. So I like that. And it's all about working back and forth and figuring out things that you like. Okay, next up, I'm going to rinse out my brush. I'm using the same brush. I'm gonna place just a nice little tower shell. Um, and those are those long, like white ones that you get that are really pointed. I'm gonna put that guy right here using a light lavender color. You can mix this by mixing dark purple with some white, if that's all you have on hand, or you can pick out a lavender color if you have multiple colors. So these guys are just nice and long and like just very simple shells. Nice long point. And let's do another one coming off the page here, off the canvas. It's gonna be another nice long one. Just to give our painting a little bit of interest here. I like doing these kind of paintings because they're studies. We call these studies. So this would be like a shell study painting. So we're studying how we can paint a few different types of shells. Okay, and there are tons of shells that I won't be able to show you today. You know, it would be really fun to grab like a shell encyclopedia or shell book, or print out and just see what you can do, see what you can make. But this should give you some ideas. Okay, next up is a tiger shell. So this guy is open. He's usually a white shell with like brown spots. I'm going to make him this light purple just for fun, because I'm kind of staying in this same similar color scheme. This guy's really simple. It's like a nice little oval, and then the other side, um, you know, mimics that, and there's some space in between. So pretty simple shape, almost like a mouth shape. There's that one, and then let's do another up here, maybe slightly smaller. And you may have seen these before, if you ever have gone to a shell shop or anything like that. They're just these little bitty shells that are really hard, and they have like an opening. They almost look like they have teeth on them. Okay, so that'll be fun, and then maybe we'll put one just kind of coming off the page here as well. And I'm leaving just a little bit of white space in between. Okay, next up, I'm going to grab a periwinkle color, which is like a light blue purple color. It's a really fun color. And I'm going to do one of the fan favorites, which is the mussel shell. So these guys you probably have seen at the beach before. There are all kinds of blues and purples, and the underside of them can sometimes look even iridescent. So I'm going to start out making this guy nice and big so we can do lots of details on him later. And it's just a nice swooping shape, almost like an avocado. Something like that. And then we can do another, maybe going off the page up here, swoop that down, fill that in. This is just going to be a really fun one. Okay, I'm going to go up here on the side. All right. And then the last shell that I want to show you is the Nautilus, and this is a really fun shell. It's like a spiral snail shell. So I'm going to do one of these guys up here. So it's going to go around the spiral. It doesn't matter if your spiral is perfect or not. It does not need to be perfect. And it's going to be going right off the page. Move my base back a little there. And then this side of it over here is like a circle. So I'm just sort of, you know, trying to get that shape. I'm going to leave a little bit of white space, something like that. Going off the page here, off the canvas. So I'm going to finish the side. And then if we can get another one of these, maybe down here. So spiraling this guy. Maybe 3 to 4 little spirals around, and then it has like a circle opening. Something like this. And then we're going to detail this guy out really well later with a whole bunch of different colors. All right, wonderful. Maybe we can, I'm not going to rinse out the brush, but maybe we have time to do one more smaller nautilus here in like the magenta color. These are just really fun shells, so add as many of these as we can. We can fill in the white space later. We'll just kind of leave it a little open for now. And maybe one more here. This guy, something like this. Okay. So now we've sort of set our shells. We have several different types of shells, and then we're gonna rinse out our brush, and rinse out really good. We're gonna work on starting to detail out some of these shells. Okay guys, so I'm rinsing out my brush. Want to make sure it's nice and clean, and then we're going to start our second layer. We're going to start detailing out these shells a bit more. So let's start with the scallops, and we're going to add, I'm going to think a bit of like a peach color. So I'm going to take some orange and some white, go off to the side over here, try to get myself a nice peachy color. Use my brush to then go, and it's okay if it's not fully dry. Mine is absolutely not fully dry. We can always come back for more coats. So I want to start showing these different spaces here on the scallop by just highlighting them with a nice light color here. Need a little bit more orange. So something like this. And as we start adding detail, these shells will start coming to life. A little bit down here. So something very simply like that. So now I've given it a little bit of, you know, character and personality. All of our detailing is going to give us some shade and shadow, some light variance. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on the other scallop shells. I still have quite a lot of wet pink paint here, and so it's mixing a bit. That's okay. We kind of like the mix. Something like that. That'll be a real simple detail. And then this guy that's coming off the page here. Awesome. And that just helps us to start detailing out this painting. Okay, next up, we will work on the whelk shell, same color, this light peach color. And I'm just gonna go into this guy and just start adding a bit of light peach to kind of change the color of this shell just slightly. It's okay to be a little bit messy with this. We kind of want the colors to blend a little. Makes it look a little bit more natural. Okay, there we go. Something like that. We could also do the top of this guy too if we want. If you're confident with your brush, you can just dab just a little bit. It's okay if you're not ready to do that. Not necessary. All right, so something like that. That's looking good. Okay, next up, let's use some peach. Where else should we use some peach? Maybe on the Nautilus shells. So I'm gonna mix up a little bit more peach by grabbing some white and some orange, and then can go around these Nautilus shells and sort of start adding a little bit of detail to them. Now what I'm doing is just going around the outside spiral where I think it would be and making a little bit of rays here, like sun rays, and I'm also kind of filling in a little bit of that white space, not all of it. All right, so that's looking good. And then I'll do something similar on this guy. And maybe a little here too. We're going to add a lot of color to these Nautilus shells, so we don't have to put too much peach on them, but I'm just going to try to break this up and give your eye a sense of motion, like it's turning. The shell is turning, so you can kind of see that visual. Okay, next up, let's grab a bit of blue, of a light blue color. See what we can do with this. Grabbing this light blue, let's go to the mussel shell. Just gonna kind of paint the inside of this guy, leaving an outside layer darker. And same thing over here. This one's going off the canvas, that's okay. And then I might add just a few little spots to these cone shells here. Just kind of want to add like a little detail to those guys. Well, that's nice, just kind of breaking it up just a little bit because shells have a lot of patterns on them. Okay, and then I think we could add a little blue to these tiger shells here. So I'm just going to add a nice stripe right on the top of all three of those. And the more colors that we're adding, we're just, you know, breaking up these shells here, making them look a little bit more realistic. Okay, so go ahead and rinse out the brush now. And want to go back to some lavender. And I want to work on the mussel shell a bit more. So I'm rinse that guy out, grabbing some lavender, and then I'm going to work on just adding some lavender to the mussel shell here. So just sort of breaking up this end, you know, just making it look a little iridescent, kind of pretty. I'm not going to use black on this painting because I'm kind of trying to stay in the same color family, but I want to make this look a little bit iridescent. So that's nice, I like that. And then with that same lavender, I think we can go ahead and add to the scallop shell. So I'm going to come back in and add to this guy, break this guy up even more. Just got to give them some personality. You can add little dots, might be nice. at the base here. Something like that. There's no right or wrong way to do this, guys. So just kind of go with your own ideas and design. Something like that. Add little dots, and then this guy as well. Okay. All right, now I'm going to grab some magenta. So I want to add to the whelk shell. I want to just make this nice and dark. I'm going to show that this is, you know, a different area of the shell that's sort of wrapping around in the back. And then I think we can do the same on the cone shells as well. Just kind of want these to break up a little. On the cone shells, we can also add some lines to the ice cream portion of that. And we can even add a little bit of the pink here, pink magenta color. All right, that's looking nice. Add something to this side as well, and then go ahead and do this up here. So I'm just slowly adding some nice and fun different details that will make these shells come to life for us. Cone. When detailing the shells, we can be thinking about dots and lines and shade and shadow. I'm going to go ahead and make the opening of the nautilus there. That same magenta color since I have it on my brush. And then soon enough, we'll be ready to change to a more detailed brush. So I'm going to add some little spots for fun on the tower, or on the whelk shell, sorry. And then, oops, I forgot to paint this guy in the back here. And then we need to add to the tower shell. I'm gonna go ahead and just add some nice little stripes because these guys tend to be really spiraled. They're just like a perfect little spiral cone, which is really quite amazing that we can find all this stuff in the ocean. And that'll probably be good for magenta for now. We'll probably come back to it in a bit. Okay. Next up, I'm going to grab a smaller brush here, and I'm going to grab some dark purple. Put that on my palette. And I have some dark green as well that we'll get to. Gonna grab that dark purple with a smaller brush and going to add to the tiger shell. I'm gonna paint the inside of that. You could get really detailed and make nice little teeth in there too, because they have those little perfect little teeth inside of that shell. Or a line will be just fine. I'm going to add a whole bunch of dots because they have this dot pattern. And it doesn't have to be in a perfect order. We're going to we want a little bit of randomness because nature is a little bit random. It's not always exactly perfect. And then same thing with this guy. Dots. And this guy that's going off the canvas down in the corner here. And then where else can we use purple? I think the nautilus shell will need some purple. We'll do, more purple on this outside part, and then, more like a solid piece and some dots. And then I'm going to come in and do some little stripes. This guy is going to be full of color. And the stripes are just going to help give direction here. And these might need some more periwinkle color. You can always go back and add more. And then the mussel shell, I'm going to make some nice U's with the darker purple, as they have a lot of that darker black in them. But I'm going to use dark purple today. And as this guy's drying, we can go back and add some more. So if it's not looking finished to you, or it's mixing too much, that's okay. You can let it dry. You can even go and take a break and come back. That's the beauty of the video. You can stop it. So, okay, there's that guy. And then let's work on this one a bit. I'm balancing my hand up high because I don't want to put my hand in all this wet paint and smear all of our hard work. I'm just going back and forth in kind of like a U. All right, pretty good. Go ahead and rinse that brush out. Now this is going to be a good time to go ahead and add a bit more periwinkle to the center of the nautilus. So I'm going to add that. And here as well. If you need to fill in a certain color, now is a good time. And then you want to add a bit of periwinkle to the scallop. Maybe we'll do some dots, might be nice. Maybe dots and a little bit of blending at the bottom there. And then again on the cone shell, maybe we add another color just for fun. Lots of colors today. A little bit to this guy. This periwinkle is a really nice color, so I'm going to use it a lot. Do the opening of the nautilus. Rinse that out a bit. Oops, I forgot this guy over here. A little bit periwinkle there. And then grab some more of that dark purple so we can give this guy some personality. And we're really just detailing up these shells however you see fit. I think it'll be really fun to add a bit of dark green to this painting as well. I'm going to fill that guy in there. You can blend it around a little bit if you want more of an iridescent feel. Okay, so now I'm going to use a real dark green here. Actually need to add a bit of blue to that as well. So I'm going to add a bit of dark blue to my dark green to make it a more of a sea color. So it's going to be less of a leaf color and more of a like a real deep turquoisey green color. Yeah, see the difference of those two colors? Mix that up nicely, and then I'm still using my detail brush. I'm just gonna touch just a little touch here on the scallop, just for fun. And then I'm gonna add, let's see, to the nautilus, some more lines. Really getting some nice colors now. And the second layer of the nautilus in here. And then maybe the cone gets a little bit of dots. It's just kind of, I feel like it helps it look a little bit more natural, like something you may have found at the beach. Of course, they aren't maybe as bright, but that's just for fun. I'm gonna mix some color here on this nautilus. I'll need to fill that in with magenta as well. And what else? There's another cone here. Cone shape. And the muscle. Let's do a little bit. Actually, sorry, let's do this guy. A little bit of variation here on the scallop. And then I'm going to take a bit of that same color, but I'm going to lighten it just slightly. So we get this nice light turquoise color. Add some of that to the muscle. And the tiger. That's a pretty, really pretty sea color. We can add some of that to this guy. Just sort of dotting it down so it's a little bit more natural. This tower. And this nautilus. Just want to break it up a little. And almost about done detailing out these shells. We've got quite a lot of color variation, which is super fun. Haven't done anything more on the whelk shell. I think I'll rinse out my brush real quick. Need to dry it off and fill in this guy a bit more. The spiral motion. And then it's going to be time to get some white out. So I'm going to use what I have here without trying to mix it too much. Now I want to add to this whelk shell. I'm going to add just a few little touches of white at the top here and here. The white is going to really help everything to start to pop. So we'll add it to multiple places. Maybe some here on the side. And then on the mussel shell, the other side that we didn't paint that light green, I'm going to add some white there. maybe a little coming up off of the page here. The Nautiluses will all need a bit of white. They're going to get that at the edge here of the opening. And here. It's okay if your shells look a little messy. We are learning these different shells. The scallops, I think they could use a little white, just, you know, just a little touch, just a little line there, here and there. Doesn't have to be on every single little bump, but it's going to give it some good character. As I added this white, it's really blending, but I kind of like it, so I think I'm going to leave that. Sometimes you have these things, you know, that you're working on. I guess Bob Ross would call it like a happy accident. So that's kind of a happy accident. You're trying for one color, and then the other color that comes up just sort of starts to look better. So we can add a few little stripes in here. Fun. You can add to this guy, and it's really just detailing out, you know, like different patterns and light and dark. What we need in our paintings is composition, color, and contrast. We really want light and dark. We really want composition on the canvas, and we really want a color scheme. And I think we're hitting those things today with this painting. So I really hope you're enjoying this. All right, guys, everyone is doing great. Next up is going to be working on our background. So I'm going to mix up some sort of background color that is, you know, maybe a little darker than sand, but it could be a resemblance of sand. Maybe add a little white to this guy. This guy. And that's feeling pretty good. I'm liking it. Could go off the muscle a little bit with this light green color off to the side over the U, kind of break that up a bit. I really like this minty sea foam green here. All right, guys, so now I'm going to get a larger brush. I'm going to use some of the orange that I have on hand. I'm going to scoop it over on a different palette here. See if you can see that. Scooping that out. And then I want to grab a bit more white because I want to go kind of like a sand color, but you know, maybe a little darker. You could do a gray as your background. You could do a nice blue, something that's a little bit lighter, I would say, so it's contrasting. And then let's see, let's pick a, I have this Tuscan red. I'm going to get a little drops of that because I want it to be a little darker than sand, but at the same time not too dark. So I'm mixing up a background color here, and the thing with the background is you want to use, you know, the same color everywhere. So wherever you start, you want to kind of stick with that for a little bit. In terms of, if I start on this section and I'm using a larger brush and I'm going around all the shells, then I want to probably bring out a medium-sized brush so I can detail around the shells as well. And I'll show you what I mean by that, but I'm going to grab this color. I'm going to set this palette off to the side. And then I'm just going to start carefully. You can sort of smudge up close to your shell, but watch out for your hand here. You don't want to put your hand in the wet paint. Something like this. Just outline as best you can. If it's too hard with this big old brush, then get a smaller brush and take your time, okay? So we're just gonna go right around everything that we've painted. If you mess up, it's okay. We still have our palette and we still have our smaller brushes, so we can go back to the edge and highlight out the edge, okay? Fix up the edge. If you make a mistake, it's okay. So just kind of want to outline a bit. You can, you know, hold your brush horizontally and just go right up to it. Even people like myself that have been painting for years, I still am probably going to accidentally run over part of it. And so everything is fixable. You can paint over it. It will be okay. Just kind of smoothing that out. I'm going to pull it over the sides here using my larger brush. Painting that edge there. And again, you could start with a background that's already painted, but you can also finish out canvases like this. I do it both ways. Okay, and I'm just smoothing out because I don't want it to dry thicker in certain areas or drip. So I'm just gonna be smoothing it out right up to my shells. I'm liking this painting. It's looking good so far. It's kind of a fun one. I hope that you guys enjoy this. All right, so I have quite a lot on my page here. And so it might be a good time to switch over to a medium-sized brush and start, you know, detailing right up to the shell. And this hopefully should really make our shells pop. All right, guys, now I'm going to switch over to my medium-sized brush. Go ahead and rinse that out and just continue detailing this. All right, guys, and we're just about done here. This is the time where you could grab your detail brush and go back over anything that needs any help. What you will notice about adding the background later is that you're going to get a bit of a white, see this little bit of white space here, and it doesn't look terrible to me. I actually kind of think it makes the shell pop off the page just a little bit, but you know, you can feel free to go right up to your shell with a detail brush and just get that really nice crisp outline. Or you can feel free to just, you know, leave the little bits of white that you feel like are making the shell pop out. So, all right, I think it looks pretty good, guys. I hope you learned a couple of awesome shells today. I had a great time painting with you, and I hope that you'll check out another lesson soon. Thanks, guys.